Hi there. If you're a fiction writer and you want to know how to reuse some of your content so that you're working smarter, not harder, then keep listening/watching. Hi there. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Oliver. I am an paranormal romance author. And if you think that's a mouthful, just go and type Lisa Oliver author into Google or Amazon and you will see what I do. I have been supporting myself as a self-published author for the past 8 years. And by supporting myself, I mean that I have purchased a house, I pay the payments on my car, I pay my mortgage, and everything that I need to live a semi-comfortable life, that money is made from my writing. I want to help you do the same. Now, one of the key things when I first started writing, my goal was to put out a book a month, and I pretty much did it for, I think it was about 3 or 4 years, putting out a book in English, obviously, because I only speak English, but putting out a book every month without fail. I'd have to actually go back and look at my listings and when they were published because I couldn't tell you exactly, but I think it was about 4 years before I pulled back a little bit on that. But even so, it's not unusual for me to publish 10 new titles a year. And so actually you can appreciate that's a lot of writing. The thing is I hit 60 last year. I had my 60th birthday. And I, think to myself, like people do when they get a bit older, I'm not sure I want to spend, 12 hours a day on my computer. Because when you think about writing, marketing, and yeah, I have a lot of fun on my computer as well. But, it is very time consuming to write and market your books. So if you could find a way to add more income or create a different income stream from your book, then you'd do it, wouldn't you? Because that just makes sense. And the most obvious two ways of doing that is to use, to have your documents, your work in progress, or no, it's not your work in progress, your newly published book translated into foreign languages and also narrated so that they can be sold through as an audio format. I pay for translations. I went the translation route first. I approached a French translator who I found through looking at other authors in my genre who were getting their books translated. The lovely Lily Rose, unfortunately, she got very busy. And so she went from doing like 6 books a year for me down to 3 books a year for me. And last year I only got 2. I'm still waiting for the 3rd, but she does assure me she's still working on it. So I had my books translated into French, and then I am also in the process of having my books translated into German. I have a lovely woman, Yuti, who does my books for me, and she is an amazing translator. And she's just sent me a book, actually. There'll be a new German book from the God series up on Amazon. Maybe tomorrow. Let's see what I'm doing. I'll see what my list to do tomorrow is looking like. But the thing is the neat thing about getting a book translated is that all you're doing is you've done all the hard work. You simply send them the copy of your book. They translate it. And the only thing you need to watch with that is you need to make sure that your translator has got a proofreader. If you don't, or if they don't be put off about that entirely. Go on to your group that you have on Facebook for the books you write, the one that you do because that helps you market and helps your readers stay in touch with you, and pop a post up there and ask them if anybody can proofread a book. If you can only find a translator but you can't find a proofreader, then ask, I guess the point I'm trying to make is there's lots of ways of doing it. Translations are expensive. I will warn you now. And it does pay to find out if it's worth doing in your particular genre. Now, I spoke to a lot of other authors in my genre who were translating to get an approximation of how long it took them to make back the cost of the translation. And if where there was cases where it was done within 3 months, then I considered that a win. Because books will go up there and they're not just going to sell for 3 months. You're developing a new author and those books will continue to sell for years. So I went ahead and I had my books published in French and German, because, of course, there's another income stream. They don't have to be just in one language. They can be in many. But I hit a snag when I had my books published in Spanish, because apparently Spanish is not a big deal. They not as keen on my genre as they are in France or Germany. Lesson learned, it didn't matter. There is a risk when you translate works that it may take a while to build an audience. But if you have checked that there is an audience in that language, then you should be fine. It's just going to take you a few months to recoup your investment. You can also judge it against your audience size in your English works. If you have only got a very, very, very tiny audience of a couple of hundred people, then it's probably not time for you to translate yet. But what you want to be seeing is a good profit on your English works that will then manifest itself in translated works. Fingers crossed, we hope. Another way, of course, is to always negotiate the costs for your initial translations to be as low as possible, or to look at somebody who will do a royalty share with you, which is another great idea, because then if the book's successful, then they make money and so do you. And if it's not, neither of you make money, but it's not as much of a huge deal as if you'd outlaid money and got nothing back at all. The same applies with audio format books. Now, I have seen my audio sales increase heaps, by probably 3 times as many in the last year, running from maybe an average of $1,000 US a month in my royalty to $3,000 a month. And admittedly, I've got a few more books, but I think I only had 4 or 5 narrated books done last year, because like translation, narration is expensive. You may have the equipment to do it at home, but I do think to get it done properly, like, have you listened to the author reads that I do? I've just started doing them on a Saturday, uploading them on a Saturday, and they are just the first chapter of some of my books, just to give you an idea of what I write, and to also so that when I'm talking about the writing process, and I can go back and say, oh, well, if you listen to this here, you'll see this, or whatever, or you'll hear that. And besides which, it's my channel, and I decided I wanted to try how it would sound if I read the first chapter of some of my books. I sound like crap. I can't do the voices. My books are about men. Makes it a bit awkward. But I do it because sometimes I can make commentary in it as well. And I might put a bit more, like, because the stories are mine, I can remember the sort of the moods and that of the characters and what have you. And sometimes that can come across in my tone. And occasionally I might even add a comment as to why I did it like that or something while I'm narrating that one chapter. But I know it sounds bleh. If I wanted to listen to somebody for, I think my books are on average 7 hours long, I wouldn't want to listen to me for 7 hours. So I pay to get them narrated, and it is expensive. But again, you need to look at other books in your genre and whether or not they are successful as audiobooks. And if you get the chance to speak to the authors to recommend narrators, that is another positive. It's a positive way of creating a different income stream from work that you've already done. And that's the crux of this. Now, there are other things. You could create a podcast channel with some of your work. You could set up a Patreon of just writing a chapter, like writing a book on Patreon, and then in which the members will be paying a percentage to, or a certain amount of money. So you wouldn't want to make it a lot, but a couple of dollars or $5, and then they get to see read the chapters before anybody else, and they get a copy of the finished book when it's done. Things like that. I found that from looking on Patreon, they seem to be very successful. That's a way of reusing your content. You are writing the content for Patreon, but you're also writing towards your book, which you will sell to other people who aren't Patreon members. Likewise, when I do my sprint videos, I am generating content for my YouTube channel, my other YouTube channel, Lisa Writes, and I'm showing it on the screen and everything else like that. People can see I'm actually typing my books. But those are books. So I am typing and creating YouTube content all at the same time. And that is a way of working smarter, not harder. The thing is my YouTube channel doesn't make money at the moment. It's still far too new. But if you're looking to the long term, and that applies for translations and narrations as well, if you're looking to the long term, every piece of content that is generated will continue to slowly generate income by itself, and it helps to build up the different income streams that you need to keep going as a successful author. And the only other thing that I've noticed that not many people do in other genres, but they do it in mine, and that is reusing text teasers from your book to create marketing graphics and things for it. If you've noticed, I'm not sure whether or not it'll be on yet, but I am doing a short video for this week to say, Loki's live. And so the graphic teasers that I created for Loki, which will be put all over Twitter, all over Instagram, all over MeWe, all over Facebook, and they will probably go up on my blog. They will also be collated together to create a video so that they will come up online, and they'll show up on YouTube as well. But the thing is the lines from it, the text on those graphics, are from my book. It makes sense. And reusing, I don't see enough authors doing this, reusing the content that they've created to market that same content. I do think it's a really useful idea, and we'll probably look more into marketing self-published work next week. But anyway, so there's just a few ideas to get you started. One other bonus tip. Can we thank JP Sayle, author JP Sayle, who writes Tangled Tentacles with me? What she does, we had an incident last week where one of the chapters, we'd written a couple of chapters, like she'd written a scene, I'd written a scene, and then we'd written another scene, and we thought, I just didn't think it worked, and that was me. I wanted to change the focus. I wanted to change it. And so she suggested, and I says, we're going to have to delete, we're going to have to delete some. But JP Sayle, the wonderful author JP Sayle, she doesn't delete stuff. No. She takes those scenes that don't get used in the book and she puts them up on her blog so that her readers can see the scenes that didn't make the cut. And I mean, what better way of encouraging your readers to think about the scenes that did make the cut than to read the ones that didn't? So everything you do, think of that. When you're writing your book, don't look at just writing a book. Look at what else you can do with the words that you've lovingly crafted to either make another income stream or to help increase the income stream you have from selling your self-published work. If this content was useful to you, my friends, would you please hit the like and subscribe? because that really helps YouTube show, or helps them to understand that I actually might do something, that's a little bit worthwhile and could be worth sharing to other people. So if you hit that button, those buttons, it doesn't cost you anything, but it means the world to me. And yeah, we've got all sorts of other things this week coming up. I know I had other videos out on coping with soggy middles and how do you deal with a blank page. So, and I think the reading this week coming up on the 28th, I'm not sure. You'll have to keep a check on my channel. That's why it helps to tick that little notification bell next to the subscribe button, because in theory, then YouTube is supposed to tell you when you get another video, when I put another video out. But anyway, my friends, thank you so much for listening to me. And if you've got any comments, questions, or anything else, please drop them in the section below, because I always want to hear from you and I will always answer everything personally. So in the meantime, hug the ones you love, my friends. Stay safe. Until the next video. Bye.